Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted something so badly, but you found yourself pulling back, hesitating, making excuses, and then watching that dream slip right through your fingers? Maybe it was a business idea, a body transformation relationship you wanted to fix, or a financial breakthrough you thought would change your life. And yet you let it go. Not because you didn't have the ability, not because you didn't have the potential, because you weren't obsessed enough to make it happen. Listen to me closely. Success doesn't respond to interest. Success doesn't respond to trying. Success bows only to obsession. If you are not obsessed, life will distract you, people will talk you out of it, and fear will paralyze you. But when you're obsessed, nothing can stop you. Obsession is the fuel that turns impossible into inevitable. I want you to imagine something. What if the thing you've been dreaming of, the thing you've been postponing, the thing you've been telling yourself you'll do, someday? What if I told you it could be yours, not 10 years from now, not someday in the future, sooner than you think, if you finally learned how to unleash this one power inside of you? That power is obsession. And here's why you need to listen to every word of this message, because the difference between those who succeed massively and those who live a lifetime of regret is not talent, it's not luck, it's not even opportunity, it's obsession. I'm going to break down exactly how you can become obsessed with success in a way that ignites you, sustains you, and pushes you beyond every limit you thought you had. By the end of this, you will no longer just want success. You'll embody it. So if you're tired of settling, if you're done living average, if you're ready to take everything in your life to a level you didn't even think was possible, then lean in, stay with me, let's go all in together. You know what the first step of being obsessed with success really is? It's not hard work. It's not even discipline. It's clarity. You can't obsess over something that's vague, undefined, just a blurry picture in your mind. Most people walk through life chasing an illusion of success without ever taking the time to ask themselves, what does success actually mean to me? Not my parents, not society, not my friends, not the highlight reels on social media. Me, what does success mean to me? That's where obsession is born. Because if you don't define it, you can't obsess over it. You'll spend your life running after someone else's version of success. And here's the truth. You can win that race and still feel empty. You can get the money, the car, the job title, the house, and still lay awake at night wondering why you're not fulfilled. Success without clarity feels like climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. And when you hit that point, the emptiness eats you alive. Clarity is power. The moment you decide with absolute certainty, this is what success looks like for me, everything shifts. Your brain stops scattering its energy in 1,000 directions. Your focus sharpens. Your energy multiplies. Obsession can't exist in confusion. Obsession only lives where there's absolute precision. Think about it like this. If I hand you a magnifying glass and you just wave it around in the sun, nothing happens. But if you hold it steady, focused, locked on one single point, you can set the world on fire. That's what clarity does. That's what defining success does. It gives you the power to channel your energy so intensely that it ignites into obsession. But here's the catch. Most people don't want to define success because it forces them to confront something uncomfortable, the possibility of failure. If I don't define it, I can't fail at it. If I don't define it, I can just keep drifting, keep waiting, keep telling myself the story that someday I'll figure it out. That's the easy way out. That's how people waste their entire lives. You need to get brutally honest with yourself. What do you want? Not in some vague, polite way. I want to be happy, or I want to be successful. Too many people hide behind words like that. Happiness is not a goal. It's a state you create when you're living aligned with what matters to you. Success is not a cliche. It's something specific. Do you want to build a business? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to become financially free? Do you want to have the fittest body you've ever had? Do you want to be the parent that breaks the generational cycle for your kids? Define it. Make it specific. Make it so vivid in your mind that you can feel it, see it, smell it, touch it. Because the more real it becomes in your mind, more your emotions get hooked. And once your emotions are hooked, obsession takes over. You'll wake up with it. You'll think about it when you're in the shower. It'll be in your conversations. It'll live in your bones. That's the starting point of real transformation. And let me tell you something else. You can't fake clarity. You can't just write a couple of nice goals in a journal and call it done. You've got to dig deep. Ask yourself the hard questions. What would my life look like if I was truly successful? How would I feel waking up every morning? What impact would I be making? How much money would I have? How healthy would I be? Paint the picture in excruciating detail. More detail, the more fuel for your obsession. You see, clarity gives you leverage. When you know exactly what you want, your excuses start losing their power. That voice in your head that says, I'm too tired, I'll do it tomorrow, not ready. Suddenly it gets weaker. Why? Because you have something so specific, so emotionally charged, that excuses can't compete with it. The clearer the vision, the stronger the obsession. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Clarity doesn't come from sitting around waiting for the perfect answer. Clarity comes from movement. You've got to start. You've got to make a decision, even if it's not perfect. Because once you move, once you act, once you step into the arena, you begin to refine your vision. You begin to discover what truly matters and what doesn't. Sitting on the sidelines never gives you clarity. Action does. When you lock in on that clarity, obsession becomes natural. It stops being something you have to force. Think about someone who falls in love. Do they have to remind themselves to think about the person they love? No, they're obsessed. They daydream. They plan, they think about the future, they feel the pull constantly. That's what success becomes when you define it clearly enough. It becomes your love affair, and once you fall in love with your vision, good luck trying to stop you. The reason most people never reach that level is because they let the world define success for them. They let their parents say, you should be a doctor. They let society say, success means money. They let Instagram say, success looks like yachts and private jets. And deep down, they're not driven by any of it. That's why they quit. That's why they don't have the obsession, because obsession doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. You've got to own your definition. So I'll challenge you right now, take everything you've been told about success, throw it on the table, and ask yourself, does this actually light me up? Am I chasing this because I think I'm supposed to? If it doesn't light you up, if it doesn't ignite something deep inside you, it's not your definition. Find the one that does, because when you do, life will never look the same. You won't need motivation. You'll be pulled. You won't need someone to remind you. You'll remind yourself. You won't stop at failure. You'll use it as fuel. That's the power of being crystal clear about what success means to you. That's where obsession begins. So decide, don't leave this room without making that decision. Decide what success really is for you and watch how everything else starts to shift. Once you define what success means to you, the next step is turning that desire into something much deeper, hunger. Because let's be honest, everybody wants success. Everybody wants a good life, the freedom, the recognition, the lifestyle. Desire is everywhere, but desire alone is weak. I wish. Desire says, it would be nice if. Desire keeps people stuck in daydreaming is different. Hunger doesn't say, I wish. Hunger says, I must. Hunger is the difference between wanting success and needing it so badly that you'll do whatever it takes to have it. And here's the truth. You will never get obsessed with success until you transform your desire into hunger. If success is just something you'd like to have, life will knock you around, distractions will seduce you, and setbacks will make you quit. But when you're hungry, quitting isn't an option. Failure isn't the end, it's just a stepping stone. Hunger turns obstacles into fuel. Think about this. When a person is truly hungry, physically hungry, they'll do anything to eat. Pride goes out the window, fear goes out the window, comfort goes out the window. They'll walk miles, fight through pain. They'll do things they never thought they could do because hunger demands it. That same intensity is what it takes to be obsessed with success. You've got to want it like your next breath. That's the kind of hunger that pulls greatness out of you. But most people don't live with that level of hunger because they're comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of obsession. If you've got just enough to get by, just enough to be okay, you won't unleash the hunger that drives you to extraordinary success. The moment you settle for comfort, you kill your hunger. And when hunger dies, obsession fades. That's why people with the most potential often achieve the least. Because potential without hunger is just wasted energy. So how do you build hunger? You've got to stop negotiating with yourself. You've got to take away the backup plan. You've got to raise your standards so high that good enough becomes unacceptable. Because hunger comes from raising the bar on yourself and refusing to settle for anything less. If you accept mediocrity, you'll never taste obsession. If you keep telling yourself, at least I tried, you'll never know what it feels like to win at the highest level. Hunger starts the moment you tell yourself, this isn't optional, this isn't negotiable. This is who I am. I will not stop until it's done. And let me tell you something powerful. You don't find hunger in comfort. You find it in struggle. Hunger is born when you remember the nights you felt broken, the times you had nothing, the times you were overlooked, rejected, doubted. Those moments are not curses, they're fuel. If you use them right, they'll light a fire inside you that never goes out. Think about the greatest achievers in history. They weren't just talented, hungry. Their hunger came from pain, from setbacks, from being told they couldn't. They turned that pain into fuel, and that fuel became obsession. Now, here's what's wild. Once hunger takes over, you stop needing external motivation. People always ask, how do I stay motivated? You don't. Motivation fades. Hunger doesn't. Motivation is a spark. Hunger is a wildfire. Motivation is for the moment. Hunger is forever. Motivation gets you started. Hunger keeps you moving when it hurts, when you're exhausted, when nobody's watching. Hunger will drag you out of bed at 5 a.m. Hunger will push you to make one more call, one more rep, one more move when everyone else has already quit. And the best part, makes life exciting. People think hunger means you're always suffering. No. Hunger gives you energy. Hunger makes you alive. Hunger gives you a reason to wake up every morning with fire in your chest instead of dread. Hunger pulls you forward. Is obsession disguised as purpose? When you're hungry, you don't dread the work, you crave it. You're addicted to the process because you know what's waiting on the other side. But here's where most people mess up. They confuse interest with hunger. Interest says, I'll do it if it's convenient. Hunger says, I'll do it no matter what. Interest says, I'll try when I feel like it. Hunger says, do it even when I don't feel like it. Interest fades when it gets hard. Hunger grows when it gets hard. That's why success only comes to the obsessed, because only the obsessed are truly hungry. So let me ask you, Are you interested in success or are you hungry for it? Be honest with yourself, because the answer to that question will determine your future. If you're interested, you'll keep playing small. You'll keep making excuses. You'll keep living average. But if you're hungry, everything changes. Hungry people don't wait for opportunities. They create them. Hungry people don't pray for things to be easier. They pray for strength to get stronger. People don't care how long it takes, how hard it gets, or how many times they fall. They only care about winning. And when you get to that place, when you're truly hungry, obsession becomes automatic. You don't need to force it. You live it. It shows in your eyes, in your actions, in your energy. People around you can feel it. They see the fire, they see the hunger, and it either inspires them or intimidates them. But either way, they know you're different. So stop wishing. Stop waiting. Stop pretending desire is enough. Turn that desire to hunger. Make success a must. Because when it becomes a must, when it becomes non-negotiable, when it becomes the very thing you breathe for, you become unstoppable once you've defined what success means to you. And once you've turned that desire into a hunger so deep it feels like oxygen, the next step is protecting and feeding the place where obsession is born, your mind. Because obsession doesn't just live in your body, it lives in your thoughts. And here's the truth: if your mind is poisoned with doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs, I don't care how hungry you are, you'll find a way to sabotage yourself. Your brain is the command center of your entire life. Every action you take, every decision you make, every risk you avoid, every risk you jump into, it all starts with what you believe. Most people have beliefs running through their minds that don't belong to them. They inherited them from parents, from teachers, from friends, from culture. Somewhere along the line, someone told them they weren't enough. They weren't smart enough. They weren't strong enough. They weren't capable enough. And they accepted that story as truth. And here's what happens. You can want success. You can be hungry for it. But if deep down you don't believe you're worthy of it or capable of it, you'll always find a way to back off. You'll stop short. You'll sabotage your own progress. Not because you didn't want it, but because your mind wasn't conditioned to let you have it. That's why obsession requires flooding your mind with empowering beliefs. You've got to rewire the story that plays in your head every single day. Because you're already obsessed with something. It might be worry, it might be doubt, it might be fear. You think about it over and over until it becomes your reality. But when you shift those thoughts and start conditioning yourself with beliefs that make you unstoppable, that's when obsession becomes your weapon. So let me ask you, do you believe about yourself right now? Do you believe you're capable of more than you've shown? Do you believe you're worthy of the life you dream about? Do you believe you have the power to overcome every obstacle? Are you running a story that says, that's not me, I'll never get there, I'm not like those people? Because whatever story you repeat is the story you live. Don't get this wrong. You don't need to wait until life magically proves it to you. You don't need the evidence first. That's how most people operate. They wait until something good happens and then they believe. No, you've got to believe first. You've got to condition your mind every single day until your brain starts looking for ways to prove your belief true. The human brain is wired to seek confirmation. If you believe you're unstoppable, your mind will find reasons to back it up. If you believe you're worthless, your mind will find reasons to back that up too. Which one are you feeding? That's why I tell people, you've got to flood your mind daily, not once a month, not when you feel like it, daily. Because the world is constantly throwing negativity at you. News, social media, gossip, fear, doubt. It never stops. If you're not actively reprogramming your mind, you're being programmed by the outside world. The outside world doesn't care about your obsession. So how do you do it? You use repetition. You use affirmations. You use visualization. You speak it, you see it, you feel it until your brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. Science has proven this. The brain fires the same way, whether you're imagining success vividly or actually living it. And the more you repeat it, the more those neural pathways strengthen. That's how belief becomes identity. And once it becomes identity, obsession becomes second nature. But let me be real with you. It's not just about saying positive words to yourself. You can't just stand in front of a mirror and I'm successful if you don't mean it. You've got to say it with certainty. You've got to feel it in your bones. You've got to condition your physiology, your energy, your tone until your whole body believes it. Because when your body believes, your actions follow. And here's where the power kicks in. When you flood your mind with empowering beliefs, fear starts to shrink. The voice that used to paralyze you, that told you you weren't ready, it doesn't go away, but it gets drowned out. It becomes background noise instead of the main voice. And now your hunger has space to breathe. Your clarity has space to expand. Obsession finally has a foundation to stand on. Think about it. Every person you've ever admired who became massively successful, they weren't born with more hours in a day than you. They weren't born with some magical gift you don't have. The difference is they conditioned their minds to believe in something bigger than their limitations. They turned their thoughts into fuel. And when you do the same, when you choose to feed your brain empowering beliefs instead of destructive ones, notice everything around you starts to shift. Because here's the secret. Belief shapes perception. If you believe you're capable, you'll see opportunities everywhere. If you believe you're doomed to fail, you'll see dead ends everywhere. The opportunities were always there. You just weren't wired to see them. Belief is the lens. Change the lens. Change your life. And once those beliefs are locked in, obsession becomes easy. You don't have to force yourself to keep going. You naturally do, because your mind won't allow you to see yourself as anything but successful. Every setback becomes feedback. Every failure becomes progress. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to prove your belief right. So ask yourself right now, what would happen if you flooded your mind every single day with the belief that you're unstoppable, that you're powerful, that success isn't just possible for you, it's inevitable? What kind of action would you take? What kind of risks would you embrace? What kind of energy would you show up with? That's the state obsession demands. Here's the truth. You already have the power to do it. You just have to decide that your old beliefs don't serve you anymore. You just have to decide that every thought you entertain will either build your obsession or destroy it. Once you make that decision, once you condition your mind daily, you'll start to notice something extraordinary. You won't just think success, you'll live it. So flood your mind with beliefs that empower you, because the moment you do, obsession stops being a choice and starts being who you are. Now, once your vision is clear, once that desire has become hunger, and once you've flooded your mind with beliefs that make you unstoppable, there's something else that either fuels or kills your obsession. And that's the environment you put yourself in. Because obsession is fragile at the beginning. It's like a flame. And just like any flame, if you expose it to the wrong wind, it goes out. If you put it in the wrong environment, it suffocates. But if you surround it with the right oxygen, with the right conditions, it explodes into a fire that can't be put out. You and I both know this energy is contagious. The people you spend the most time with are shaping you, whether you realize it or not. You pick up their standards, their habits, their beliefs, their energy. And here's the scary part. If you surround yourself with people who are comfortable, who settle, make excuses, who talk about dreams but never take action, sooner or later, you'll catch that disease. You'll lower your standards without even realizing it. You'll stop demanding more of yourself because the people around you aren't demanding more of themselves. If you want to be obsessed with success, you've got to be ruthless about who you let influence your world. You can love your family, you can care about your friends, but you cannot let their limitations become your limits. Too many people try to carry the weight of other people's beliefs on their back, and it drags them down. If the people around you don't fan your flame, they're dimming it, period. And don't misunderstand me, this isn't about cutting everyone out of your life or thinking you're better than anyone. It's about protecting your environment. If you want to stay obsessed, you've got to place yourself around people whose very presence forces you to level up. People whose standards make you uncomfortable in the best way. People who don't let you play small, who don't tolerate your excuses, who look at your dream and say, that's great, but what's next? That's the kind of energy that fuels obsession. Think about athletes. You can take the most talented player in the world, put them on a team where nobody cares, where nobody trains, where nobody's hungry. Watch what happens. Their standards drop. But take someone with average talent and put them in a locker room where everybody's obsessed with winning, where everybody's pushing past their limits. The standard is excellence. And watch how fast they rise. It's not just about what's inside you. It's about the environment you immerse yourself in. Here's the thing. Sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who unintentionally poison your obsession. They'll say things like, don't work so hard. Why are you pushing yourself so much? Just relax. Be happy with what you have. They think they're protecting you, but what they're really doing is capping you. You can't listen to that voice if you want to be obsessed. You've got to be polite. You've got to love them. Inside, you've got to say, thank you, but no thank you. I know what I'm chasing and I know why. And it's not just people. It's everything in your environment, the content you consume, the places you spend your time, the conversations you entertain. Every one of those things is either pulling you closer to obsession or pushing you further away from it. If you're constantly scrolling through negativity, gossip, drama, you're feeding your mind poison. Poison kills obsession. But if you're immersing yourself in books, in conversations, in learning, in experiences that challenge you, that inspire you, that stretch your vision, you're feeding the fire. Tell you something I learned early. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your environment. You can have the clearest vision, the deepest hunger, the strongest beliefs. If you keep surrounding yourself with people who settle for less, eventually you'll start settling too. That's why some of you are frustrated right now. You've been trying to build obsession in an environment that suffocates it. You keep planting seeds in toxic soil and wondering why nothing grows. So what's the solution? You create your own environment. You seek out the rooms where you're the smallest player, not the biggest. You put yourself around people who make you feel behind because being behind pushes you forward. You join groups, you find mentors, you connect with others who are already living at the level you're aiming for. Because when you see what's possible in their lives, it forces you to ask, why not me? And that question is powerful, but it's not always easy. Sometimes creating the right environment means walking away from old circles. Sometimes it means spending less time with people who are fun but not focused. Sometimes it means being alone for a season, building your obsession in silence until you attract the right tribe. And that's hard because we all crave connection. Here's the truth. You can't sacrifice your future for temporary comfort. You can't sacrifice your obsession for people who aren't willing to grow with you. And let me tell you, when you finally find the right environment, you'll know. Because suddenly obsession doesn't feel like you're swimming upstream anymore. It feels like you're being carried by a current. You wake up with more energy because the people around you are moving in the same direction. You push harder because you see others pushing harder. You believe bigger because you see others living bigger. That's when obsession becomes effortless. So if you're serious about being obsessed with success, you've got to ask yourself right now, who's in my circle? Who am I giving my energy to? Who's influencing my thoughts, my actions, my standards? Because those answers will determine how far your obsession goes. Surround yourself with the right energy. You won't just chase success. You'll catch it. You'll catch it. There's a moment where clarity isn't enough. Hunger isn't enough. Empowering beliefs aren't enough. And even the right environment isn't enough. Because obsession is not just about what you think. It's about what you do. And this is where most people fall short. They get excited about their vision. They feel fired up in the moment. They even start talking like they're obsessed. When it comes down to action, they hesitate. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, the perfect plan. And while they wait, life passes them by. If you want to be obsessed with success, you've got to take massive, relentless action. Not occasional action, not convenient action. Massive action, consistent action, relentless action, because obsession is proven through behavior. Anybody can talk about their dreams. Anybody can write them down in a journal. The world doesn't respond to what you think about it. It responds to what you do. And here's the truth. Most people never go all in because they're afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to look stupid, afraid to waste time. But here's the paradox. Longer you hesitate, the more fear grows. The moment you move, the moment you take massive action, fear shrinks. Action kills fear, waiting feeds it. That's why obsessed people don't wait until they feel ready. They move first. They leap. They adjust on the way down. They figure it out as they go because they understand that momentum is more valuable than perfection. Think about a rocket. Do you know how much energy it takes just to break through the atmosphere? 80% of the fuel is burned just in the first few minutes of liftoff. Why? Because the hardest part is breaking through gravity. But once it's out in orbit, it takes very little fuel to keep moving. That's how success works. The beginning feels heavy. It feels slow. It feels like you're burning everything you have just to make a little progress. But if you stay relentless, if you keep pushing, suddenly momentum kicks in. And when momentum is on your side, you become unstoppable. But you don't get momentum by thinking. You get it by doing. By taking massive action again and again, even when it doesn't look like it's working yet. Here's the part most people don't understand. When you take relentless action, failure is not your enemy, it's your ally. Because every failure gives you feedback. Every mistake teaches you something. Every setback sharpens your edge. Obsession doesn't mean you don't fail. It means you fail so often, so quickly, so relentlessly that failure becomes your training ground. Look at anyone who's achieved greatness. They didn't get there by waiting for everything to be perfect. They acted before they felt ready. They acted when people told them they were crazy. They acted when they had nothing. They acted when they had everything to lose. And because they acted relentlessly, because they refused to stop, they turned their vision into reality. And here's the truth. When you're obsessed, action doesn't feel like work. It feels like oxygen. You cannot take action. You can't sit still. You can't watch from the sidelines. You're pulled to move, to create, to build, to push. Action becomes your every step, no matter how small, is bringing you closer. But here's the danger. If you don't channel your obsession into action, it turns into frustration. You ever notice that? People who dream big, but don't take action are the most frustrated people on earth. They know they're capable of more, but they're paralyzed by hesitation, and that paralysis eats at them. But the moment they move, they act, the frustration disappears. Because progress is the only cure for frustration. Now let's get real. You're not going to feel like taking action every day. There will be mornings you wake up tired, days when you feel defeated, times when the temptation to quit is screaming in your ear. That's where obsession separates you. Because obsessed people don't act based on feelings. They act based on commitment. They don't negotiate with their mind. They don't say, do it later. They say, I'll do it now. They've trained themselves to push past comfort, and that's why they win. Relentless action doesn't mean recklessness. It doesn't mean running blindly without strategy. It means moving decisively, adjusting quickly, and refusing to stop. It means you don't just take one shot. You keep firing until the target falls. It means you don't just try once. You keep hammering until the wall breaks. The longer you keep moving, the more resources, opportunities, and breakthroughs show up. Because action attracts. Action draws energy toward you. You'll be shocked at how doors start opening when you've proven you're serious enough to keep knocking. Some people wait for confidence before they act. That's backwards. Confidence is built through action. Every time you take action, you build evidence for yourself. Evidence that you can push through, that you can adapt, that you can grow. That evidence builds confidence, and that confidence fuels even more action. That's how obsession compounds. It feeds on itself. When you act relentlessly, something else happens. You develop resilience. You stop being afraid of failure because you failed so many times and survived. You stop being afraid of rejection because you've heard no so many times and kept going. You stop being afraid of pain because you've trained yourself to move through it. Action hardens you, sharpens you, transforms you. That's how obsession becomes who you are. So let me ask you, where in your life are you holding back? Where are you waiting for the perfect plan instead of taking action? Where are you negotiating with yourself, letting excuses win? Telling yourself someday? Because the truth, there's no someday, there's today. And if you don't act today, obsession dies a little. But if you do, obsession grows stronger. Massive, relentless action is the bridge between vision and reality. It's the only proof that you're truly obsessed. So don't just think it, don't just want it, don't just believe it. Do it over and over and over again, because when action becomes your default, success becomes your destiny. There comes a point where clarity, hunger, empowering beliefs, the right environment, and relentless action all fuse together into something much bigger. They stop being pieces of a process and start becoming who you are. This is the final level of obsession with success. You stop chasing it like a goal and start living it as your identity, because goals can be abandoned. Habits can be broken. Motivation can fade, but identity is permanent. Once success becomes part of your identity, it's not what you do, it's who you are. Think about it. When someone identifies as an athlete, they don't have to think about training. Training is who they are. When someone identifies as a leader, they don't have to push themselves to step up. They naturally lead. The same is true with success. When success is just a goal, it feels like a task. It's something you pursue when you feel like it, something you chase when the conditions are right. When success becomes your identity, there is no option of turning it off. You breathe it, you live it, you embody it. And that's where obsession transforms everything. Because now every choice you make, every action you take, every thought you entertain is filtered through that identity. If your identity is, I am successful, then failure doesn't break you. It just doesn't fit your story. Struggle doesn't stop you. It strengthens your identity. The challenges don't make you question yourself. They remind you of who you are. But here's the problem. Most people attach their identity to things that limit them. They say, I'm shy. I'm lazy. I'm not good with money. I'm not disciplined. I've always been this way. And guess what? They live out that story every single day because the brain fights to protect identity. If your identity says, I'm not disciplined, then even when you try to push yourself, you'll self-sabotage. Why? Because your brain will say, this isn't who we are. That's why change feels so hard. It's not just about changing actions. It's about changing identity. But the moment you shift that identity, the moment you decide, this is who I am now, everything else becomes easier. If your identity is, I am someone who creates success, who attracts success, who embodies success, then your behavior automatically aligns. You don't need to force it. You just live it. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't argue with yourself about brushing your teeth because it's part of who you are. Success has to become just as automatic. And here's the beauty of it. When success becomes your identity, session stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like nature. You don't have to psych yourself up to keep going. You don't have to find motivation every day. You're simply living in alignment with who you know you are. That's why people who reach this level seem unstoppable. It's not that they never get tired. It's that stopping would violate their identity. They don't know how to quit because quitting doesn't fit who they are. Now, how do you build that kind of identity? You reinforce it daily with action, with language, with belief. Every time you take action in alignment with success, you cast a vote for that identity. Every time you speak to yourself as if you are already that person, you strengthen it. Every time you refuse to compromise your standards, you anchor it deeper. Identity isn't built overnight. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice, commitment by commitment. But the more you reinforce it, the stronger it gets, and you have to guard it because the world will constantly try to pull you back to your old identity. People will remind you of who you used to be. Your old habits will tempt you. Your failures will whisper that maybe you're not that person after all. But obsession means protecting your new identity at all costs. It means refusing to negotiate with your old story. It means saying, that's who I was. It's not who I am anymore. And here's what's powerful. Once success becomes your identity, you don't just achieve for yourself, you inspire others. Because people can feel when it's real. They can see that you're not pretending. You're not trying. You're not forcing. You're living it. And that energy pulls others higher. Your identity becomes an example, a standard, a challenge to everyone around you. That's the ripple effect of obsession. It doesn't just change your life. It changes the lives of everyone connected to you. But let's get real. This is the hardest part because identity requires consistency. You can't claim you're obsessed with success and then act like someone who settles. You can't say, I am successful, and then make decisions that contradict it. Every time you do, you weaken your identity. That's why integrity is everything. When your words and actions align with your identity, obsession becomes unshakable. When they don't, you start to crumble from the inside out. So the challenge is this: stop saying, I want success, and start saying, I am success. Stop saying, I hope I can make it, and start saying, I was built to make it. Stop saying, try, and start saying, this is who I am. Because the moment your language shifts, your focus shifts. And the moment your focus shifts, your reality shifts. And remember, identity is not about perfection. You'll still fall, still mess up. you'll still have moments of doubt. But obsession means you get back up faster because failure doesn't shake who you are. It reinforces it. You're not successful because you never fall. You're successful because you refuse to stay down. And when that becomes your identity, nothing, no setback, no rejection, no circumstance can take it from you. So don't just chase success. Don't just work for it. Don't just talk about it. Make it your identity.